Hey everyone, I told you last week that I screwed up our entire Great Loop plans for at least the year 2022. And the reason our plans are screwed up is because I bought a boat. So here's the story behind the boat. Our 48-foot motor yacht with a cockpit, I thought was the perfect loop boat. It had good tankage, 590 gallons, it had 190 gallons worth of water, it had 60 gallons worth of waste. I mean, you could really live on that boat for a long time and cruise through the rivers and the intercoastal waterways without having any problems. It was efficient at slow speeds, and it could get up on plane. The fastest I've had it go is 19.3 knots. That's pretty quick for a big ass boat like that. The efficiency at hull speed was about five gallons an hour, so pretty good. The problem was we were going to have to take the boat from Sacramento down to Ensenada and put it on a ship and have the ship take it over to Florida. And we were in the process of that in February. If you remember, we left in February, we made it to Alameda, and then that's where basically the trip ended. Well, the trip ended because we found the boat that I am currently standing on right now.
We are Matt and Monique, parents to 5 beautiful daughters and 1 dashing son. With 5 of our children out of the house and on their own, I quit my job, sold our home and everything else we own to begin the adventure of a lifetime with our youngest daughter, Morgan, and our dog, Tito's. Our goal is to complete America's Great Loop, but first we must travel from California to Mexico and eventually to Florida. Join us as we travel down the coast of California and Mexico. We will see and explore new places and meet new people along the way and learn how to live as a family afloat, exploring both land and sea.
When we were in Vallejo, I got notification through Yacht World that a 48-foot long-range cruiser had come available, and it was in San Diego. Well, coincidentally, we were going to be in the area visiting Monique's father the next weekend. So we called up the broker, and we said, we're coming right over. We're going to take a look at this boat. It's a pretty high-demand boat, even though it's old. This is a 1976 48-foot LRC, and they're fairly sought after. When I called, or when I had my broker actually call the listing broker, he said the boat was already sold. Great. Less than 12 hours, and he had already accepted an offer. I told my broker, go ahead and make a backup offer. We're still coming down, so if the deal should fall apart while we're here, we'll take a trip and take a look at it. Sure enough, a couple hours later, deal had fallen apart, and we made our plans to come see this boat. So when we made the trip to San Diego to look at the boat, both the broker, the listing broker, and the owner were on board, which was kind of lucky because the owner was a very knowledgeable guy, had the boat for about 8 years, had done lots of work to it, so he knew basically the ins and outs of the boat. Made our decision to go forward with our deal that much easier. So what we did is we scheduled a haul out and a survey as quickly as we could. It took about, I think it was 2 weeks for all of the moving parts to actually come together for the surveyor, the boat yard, and everybody else to arrange for this survey of this boat. So what is a 48-foot Hatteras long-range cruiser, and how does it compare to the 48-foot motor yacht, cockpit motor yacht that we have? Both are the same sizes. Well, the long-range cruiser has smaller engines. In fact, they're 453s, which produce 112 horsepower per engine. In comparison to the cockpit motor yacht, those are 6V92 TIs, that's twin turbos. Those engines put out 430 horsepower per side, which is actually a low horsepower output on that particular engine, which makes them a lot longer in longevity. But still, the long-range cruiser has half the total power of just one of the engines on the cockpit motor yacht. So that means that where the Cockpit Motor Yacht had 590 gallons of fuel, and this one has 450 gallons of fuel, the range is much greater. They estimate that the range on the long-range cruiser is approximately 1,500 miles, and that is with a 10% reserve. So this boat can go a great distance without having to fuel up. What about water? Water is big on this boat also. We have 3 big tanks, 450 gallons worth of water. That's gonna get us places without having to put water on board. And this particular boat also has a water maker. The long-range cruiser has 2 staterooms, similar to the 2 staterooms that the Cockpit Motor Yacht has. The LRC also has 2 full heads, each of them with a shower, whereas the Cockpit Motor Yacht had 2 heads but only 1 shower. The forward shower was a dry head, which never bothered us. Morgan would always take a shower in our bathroom anyway. So this particular the LRC keeps the 2 sides very isolated. Morgan no longer has to come to our bedroom to take her shower or do anything else. The Cockpit Motor Yacht, well, it had a beautiful cockpit. In fact, I think the cockpit's bigger than the LRC. You still had to go up onto the sun deck before you could go down into the salon, whereas here we just walk right into the salon. We have a pilot house on this particular boat, so I'm not one to want to have isinglass on my flying bridge. I didn't have isinglass on the Cockpit Motor Yacht. I figure if you're going to be on a boat, the whole point of it is to be outside enjoying the environment. But when the weather turns to crap and it gets cold and windy, you definitely want to be somewhere else. Here in the long-range cruiser, it is a full pilot house with a place for people to sit and a watchman's berth. So for longer cruises, this is going to be an ideal boat. The Cockpit Motor Yacht did have a lower helm, but it wasn't one that was meant to be used very often. In fact, that one was only meant to be used in really bad weather. This one, with the pilot house, I think it's designed to be used more often than the flying bridge. Speaking of the flying bridge, behind the flying bridge is where the dinghy is stored, and there's a great big deck there, large enough to entertain and enjoy sundowns and maybe even sunrises. It's beautiful. Behind the pilot house, that is where you're going to find the galley and the salon, full width of the boat. So unfortunately, there's no side decks, but giving up the side decks gives you more interior space, which is, I think, it's a nice trade-off. And then we have this beautiful cockpit. We've been using this cockpit every night for sundowners. It's just absolutely beautiful. I got my barbecue right over there. Very easy from the barbecue to the galley. So it's going to be a nice boat for the family to enjoy. What else do we have? The interior is all teak. There's no fiberglass, so that touches my heart because I love teak. I love wood interiors. I think a boat is not a yacht without wood. Sorry, Sam. So why are we so willing to delay our Great Loop trip that we've been planning for the last 2 years to buy this boat? Well, this boat's going to enable us to check off some bucket lists that the Cockpit Motor Yacht wasn't going to allow us to do. With the range of this boat and the economy that this boat provides, we're going to be able to actually take this boat to Florida on its own bottom. That means that we're going to be able to go through the Panama Canal. In other words, we're going to leave San Diego, we're going to go down to Mexico, and then Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, which we will probably stay in Costa Rica for some time. It's supposed to be an absolutely beautiful place. And then Panama. And then Panama into the Gulf of Mexico. And then who knows? We got several different ways that we can get to Florida. We could either do the Caribbean, or we can go back up Mexico, hit Cozumel. I love Cozumel for the diving opportunities, and I'd love Morgan to be able to dive in Cozumel. So those are bucket list items that'll be checked off. This boat also has a lower bridge clearance. It has a mast. The mast, when the mast is up, the bridge clearance I think is 23 feet, which is not going to get us through the loop. But the mast has a spring and can be lowered down, and now my air clearance is 17 feet. With a 17-foot clearance, we can do the Chicago canals and get under all those bridges. That's very exciting. When we had given up looking for a boat on the East Coast because we couldn't find anything, Monique was very upset because the Cockpit Motor Yacht had an air clearance of 18.6. Can't do Chicago with 18.6. This boat's going to allow us to do the Chicago Canal. So let me explain why the timetable for our 2022 Great Loop Adventure is all screwed up. It is May. And with May comes June 1st. And June 1st is the beginning of hurricane season. While there aren't going to be very many hurricanes going down the west coast of America, there are hurricanes that do blow through. I can't get insurance while I cruise through the hurricane waters, and I really don't want to go through hurricane waters without having an exit plan. So I have crossed off cruising during hurricane season where there are hurricanes. We also have some work to do on this boat. While it's my dream boat and it's gorgeous and I love it, there's lots of work that has to be done, including painting the hull and redoing the bottom. So we're actually going to take this boat to Mexico and have all that stuff plus some more stuff done to the boat before we begin our adventure. My drop dead date to leave is in October, and we're going to be going down to Panama with a group of people. We'll probably explain that down the road a little bit, but that's safety in numbers and experience by other people that I get to rely on. So that's kind of why our timetable is delayed. We want to do it with a group of other people, and we have to have work done to this boat, and hurricane season's just about ready to ramp up. Don't want to cruise during hurricane season. What type of work do we want to have done? Here's the plan. We're going to have the hull painted. Hull, this is a 1976 boat. Hull is rough, so we're going to have that painted. Got to get the bottom done. I'm going to have the boatyard tell me what needs to be done with the bottom of the boat. I don't know if we're going to medio blast it and then put an epoxy barrier on it or just paint it. I'm going to let them tell me. I have some seacocks that need to be replaced and others that need to be filled, because some of the stuff has been abandoned over the years through upgrades. For example, the toilets in the original boat were raw water toilets. An owner in the past has made it a freshwater system, so those patches to draw the raw water have to be plugged up and faired, and they have to be made much prettier. We're also going to do water lights, so that's on Monique's bucket list, which I'm looking forward to. We see lots of fish in the water, and underwater lights would just make it that much better. So there's a bunch of other work that we're going to do. We'll probably go through that down the road once the work is being done. So from San Diego to Ensenada, where this boatyard is, and I'm told this boatyard's fantastic, and I'll let you know when the time comes, and I'll let you know which boatyard it is. That trip is a 70-mile trip. It should take us about 10 hours to get there, but it's all on a following sea and a very, very easy trip. We'll be there 1st of June to get the boat out of the water. And you know what kind of luck we've had with boatyards in California. So I don't think I'm really that particular, but I think the boatyards in California need some help, some work. I figure that the boat will be out of the water for about a month to 2 months, in which case we'll be back in the water in August, maybe the 1st of September, and for the next month we'll begin cruising the waters of Mexico. I plan to do some fishing. Monique is dying to catch some fish. Down the road, we'll give you a little bit of a tour of the boat, and more than we have here. And I'll take whatever questions you might have about a 1976 Hatteras long-range cruiser. And tell me, do you think this boat's going to make the 10,000-mile trip from San Diego, Panama Canal, and then to Florida? It's an old boat with old engines. Let me know what you think. Until next time, keep your boat afloat. And remember, it is better to die with memories than to die with unfulfilled dreams. We're making our dreams come true, and we plan to die with the memories. What are you doing? Take care.